So welcome to Blueprint the Culture. We are in the second annual Buffalo Niagara MWBE Conference and Expo, and I am here with my friend Ed Drantch, and I'm super excited to have you here, Ed. We just decided to come upstairs after that Generational Wealth Building Fireside Chat, and really, I wanted to know, what were you feeling? Like, what is the energy after that chat?
Well, a couple of things. When you talk about a community that understands that no one is going to save themselves except for themselves.
Yeah.
That I think is so huge. And to walk away with that understanding and that knowledge that a community has to work together to really continue building itself up, that's power.
That's so much power. Like, we know that there's barriers. We understand that they exist. We acknowledge them kind of quietly, but we continue to move forward.
Well, and I think it's like that for everyone, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't just have to be about the color of your skin or your background, your education level. I'm Ed. I'm a news anchor. It doesn't mean that, sure, I'm a gay man. I'm part of that community.
Yes.
And, I think that when we lead with that, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Yes. This entire day has been like a whirlwind.
That's what it seems like.
It has been a whirlwind, but it's been so good that far exceeded what my expectation was. Can you talk about what you were thinking about when you were coming today? Like, what was your thought process?
I had no idea what to even expect. I mean, like, Talia, your energy is off the charts. And so I knew that if you were going to be running the show, that there was going to be some really good stuff happening here, right?
Right.
You understand what it's like. You're in the trenches and you're doing the work. But as an outsider here, I had no idea what to expect. But I was so pleased to see so many people who had stayed throughout that day, because how often are we able to get people in a room and have these honest and, frankly, real conversations? It doesn't happen that often, and to be able to be part of that conversation is a huge privilege.
It seemed like you were in your element. We gave Ed the very first Blueprint Voice Award for his work in the community and for really reporting on things that I feel like we have not heard from reporters. We hear it, but we don't see them actually in the trenches. And I was sharing with Ed when we first talked that, like, Ed is at the Juneteenth parade waving to kids. Like, they know him. And these are little Black kids. Like, and they're like, hey, he's like, hey, he's walking through normal. Right. And in Buffalo, that does not happen in our communities. And so when I saw that, I'm like, first of all, I love him. I love his energy. Like you're not sitting here. I love you. I love your energy. And I love everything that you're doing and what you stand for. And so he got the very first Blueprint Voice Award today. And how did that feel? I know you were you're like me when you get things. It's like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Well, I'm so honored, first of all.
Yes.
And thank you for the kind words. To be recognized in that capacity is a really big deal, because so often I think that, in TV, we don't necessarily think that we're having an impact. We don't necessarily see the real tangible results. But to hear from you and to have seen the way that I carry myself in a community that I think really depends on us means so much to me. And, I'm not trying to toot my horn and I'm not trying to do any of that stuff, but I'm really just so grateful that you and your organization recognized that, because the work is so important to be done, especially after what happened on May 14th. And I don't necessarily want to go down that road and rehash what happened, but we have to move forward. We can't move on.
That's it.
And
that's perfect.
Well, and I think that as a media, we have a huge part to play in all of that. So whether it's being at the Juneteenth parade and being visible in the community and being that voice for people who don't often have one or don't have the opportunity to have their story told, that's where we come in, and that's my job, and I take that very seriously.
Yeah. And you know what, Ed? I appreciate that about you, because you're honest, right? You're honest, and you just say it. Like, we had a conversation, we were talking to you, like, Talia, like, I don't understand that because I'm not from the community. I've never thought that way. I love that. Another thing that I love is that when you were, you got in the middle of the piano and they were talking about some of their events and things going on, and you're like, okay, why don't I know about that? I love that you said that, because I think some people think that sometimes the news does not want to report what's going on in our communities.
Well, and how can we report if we don't know? Right? We have, everyone has limited resources. You as a business owner have limited resources. We as the news have limited resources. But to be in touch with that person, I mean, for them to have seen my face, to have heard that, I hope will go a long way. We talked about the economy of relationships, and that was one thing that I took away from this panel. Here it is.
Yeah, that was good, and I think that showed more community, camaraderie, and culture. And culture, and that's what Blueprint the Culture is about. I'm kicking it off here today. I didn't tell you that, and you're like the first interview, right? That for Blueprint the Culture, and it really is about like how we tell the stories from different types of culture. I love that when you got in the middle of them and you made that statement that it literally changed their faces, because that lets me know humanity, right? And I think that is what people felt from you today, and what they appreciated from you. Wow. Because I felt that they were comfortable talking to you, and it was more of a conversation. They weren't guarded, they weren't afraid, they weren't hiding, and they weren't pretending. And I feel like you helped with that.
Thank you. And when you show up authentically, I think it helps break down those walls.
Yeah.
Because we all have that kind of that wall in front of us. We want to make sure that we're presenting ourselves in the best possible light. And sure, that's a reality.
Right.
But I'm not afraid to just be me.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And that's how we build community.
Right.
By showing up authentically, by being your true self, and being honest with people around you about who you are. And I think it took me a little while to get there, because we're so used to being in front of a camera, having literal lenses in front of you, not eyeballs, but camera lenses. And I'm so much more comfortable in front of a camera than I am in front of a crowd.
Wow.
And for me, it's taken a long time to just understand that it's okay to be you. It's okay to show up as yourself.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that I took away from today's conference and today's panel, it was about making sure that you stay true to who you are.
Yeah, I love that. And one final question. What made you say yes to being a part of this?
I will be completely honest with you. I didn't know what I didn't know. And after what happened on May 14th in our community, it was important for somebody to say, let's make everyone know what they don't know.
Yes.
Let's bring the real stories to the community. Let's bring the real struggle to the community.
Right.
Because we talked about redlining. We talked about systemic barriers in terms of real estate. We talked about keeping a community down and moving a community into one place.
Yes.
But people who don't live in that community are not privy to the knowledge that people have in that community. What's the real issue? What are the real stories on the ground? What's the positive that's happening in that community? And that's what I want to do. So to be able, I have chills thinking about this, because really, this is so powerful to me. It's people helping people. And so when you came to me and you asked, I'm always going to say yes. It's a community that I care deeply about, and I want to make sure that we are empowering and uplifting. And so to be part of that today was a huge honor.
Thank you. What is one thing, Ed? I want to say so many different things, but I'm not.
Go ahead.
What is one thing that you want minority and women-owned businesses to know about today?
Mm-hmm. I want them to know that there is opportunity available. And again, this is something that I didn't know until you came across my email and said, "Hey, Ed, this is happening." And thank you for doing that, because without it, we'd have no idea.
Yeah.
There's opportunity. There's money on the table, and there's money that's left behind. And when we're talking about passing that money down, it's about building that legacy and continuing that lineage from one generation to another. And, as a Jewish man, I'm going to say deep, okay?
It's okay.
It's called Lador Vador. This is like a philosophy. It's from generation to generation. And if we can do that as a community, and we can build that wealth, and we can build that future and make it good for everyone else, then we're doing our job right now.
I love that. Oh, that was deep. Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's great to see you.